Oh, here we are. It's the last day of the convention of the NRB. Always bittersweet, but I'm always excited about it. Every corner is somebody that God is touching and doing something to build His kingdom. And of course, in order to have that, we need the next generation. It's
Yes.
kind of critical to the situation. So we are blessed. We are to have Emily Burning with us, and she is with an organization here in Florida, actually, and you can tell by the logo
Yeah.
on her shirt, which shows a beautiful mother with her baby in her womb there. You can't see the womb; you just see that she looks pregnant, I should say. But anyway, she is with a group called Right. Let them
Let
live.
them live. Yep.
Let them live.
Let
And I
them
was
live.
telling her as she sat down that I'm so glad my mom did. And you should be, I mean, like
Yeah.
everybody's mom had
Yeah.
whatever choices at whatever point in time, as I heard from the stage this
Yeah.
morning about a poor man that his mother attempted to do a manual abortion back before it was even legal. Those things were always available,
Always there. Yeah.
and somebody let us live.
It's true. That's true. That's what we're called to do.
And so, Emily, tell us your story. How did you get involved with Let Them Live?
Yeah. So I am the president and co-founder. The other co-founder is my husband.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And we actually started Let Them Live. We became a nonprofit about 4 years ago. And prior to this, um, we actually were just married, and Nathan came across a girl on Facebook in a pro life group, and she was saying that her cousin had an abortion scheduled, but she didn't know what to do or how to, like, what to say to her. So Nathan started asking her questions and said, "Hey, why does your cousin have an abortion scheduled?" And it turns out that she was evicted. It was the middle of the winter, so it was freezing, and she lost her job. She was living in her car, and she was pregnant. And this just really did not sit well with my husband. And so, after some back and forth, he offered to just give her all of the money that we had in our bank account. And this is at like 3 in the morning, and I'm fast asleep, so I don't know any of this is happening. And all I remember is Nathan nudging me awake and saying, "Hey, Emily, do you want to save a life from abortion?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And he's like, "Okay, we got to give her all of our money." And I was like, "Okay, okay." And all that, it was like $1,200 came from our wedding guests because we had just gotten married. And we got her back into her apartment, and she canceled her abortion and chose life. And she sent us an ultrasound. And it was in that moment that I just had an epiphany, and I started doing research, and I found that 73% of women in the United States have abortions because of financial burden. And there wasn't any organization that was specifically trying to solve that problem. And so, right then and there, we knew that that's what we were going to be doing. And ever since, we've raised almost $10 million to pay bills for moms so that they can choose life and cancel their abortions.
Oh, my, what a story. I am so encouraged on so many levels. I got to tell you, just, I think it was last week, I was talking to a good friend who does Hope for the Caregiver. It's a podcast radio show that we do here with the Truth Network. And he said this, and you can write this down. You can use it from
I will.
Peter
I'm going to write it
Rosenberg.
down right now.
You need to write it down because everybody needs to hear this and realize it because
Yeah.
it is so true. It says, if it is God's will, He will foot the bill.
Yes, I love that. That's amazing. I'm writing it down right now.
Right? And so as I hear your story, I mean, if you don't hear that, clearly, like they had $1,200, right?
That's it.
And it was God's will that that child. And have you seen that child?
Yes. Yeah.
And what tell us about it?
It's just when you see a life that you've saved from abortion, you realize just how priceless it is. And that child is now living their life. He's alive. He's existing. I don't know how else to describe it. He's celebrating birthdays, and every single Let Them Live baby. I mean, we just had our big gala on last Saturday, and we had a bunch of Let Them Live babies all in one room, and they're all running around and chasing each other, and they're 3 years old and 2 years old, and it's amazing because we get to celebrate these milestones with them. And like you said, if it's God's will, He's gonna foot the bill. And there have been many times where I'm like, all right, God, like, how are we gonna make this happen? I'm not really sure, but every single time, without fail, we've been able to make it work.
Wow. And see, it's so beautiful. I mean, it really, really is. It here's a completely practical. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes, we need people in Congress fighting for this. Yes,
Yes.
we need all these different things, but also
Yeah.
let's just hit the real
Exactly.
deal. Is it,
Yeah.
even before abortion wasn't legal,
Right.
people, because of financial hardships, were breaking the law in order to
Yes.
make this happen.
Yes.
And so, as usual,
Yeah.
God
Absolutely.
has all the resources
Always.
to take care of
Yes.
making sure that somebody lives.
Yes.
And I love that God gave you guys that vision. But I also would point out a couple other things that I think are important. That you guys invested $1,200 in that life, but think of the return
The
on
return.
investment for your lives,
Yeah.
right? It gave you
Yeah.
a ministry. It gave you
Yeah.
a purpose. In other words, I don't know how it all fits in your world,
Yeah.
but what an investment.
Yeah.
Like, your husband was obedient. How old your husband at the
He
time
is.
he makes this decision?
Let's see. Okay, so I was 23. He would have been 25.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. No, it's amazing, and it really is that obedience, and you know, like you said, it's an investment. We didn't know everything that would happen years
Now
later.
I'm also curious about.
Yeah.
Well, see, I have a ministry. You don't know that's called the Jesus Labor of Love.
Oh,
And so I'm the Christian car guy. And I became aware quite soon after I became the Christian car guy that almost all my calls didn't come from guys trying to fix cars. It came from women, specifically single women, right? Moms, you know, divorced moms
yeah.
and widows, because they had no guy in their life
Yeah.
to help them, right?
Yeah.
And so we started a ministry called the Jesus Labor Love to help single moms and widows across the country. Same exact deal. I got no money. I don't know how we're going to make this happen. And almost every time somebody comes to us, we're in the exact same. Well, what do? We pray. And God has provided for all these same
Yeah.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? And
Every
it's a very
single time.
practical thing because
Yeah.
guess what? These people, they're struggling. Sure, they're lost, but it's cool that you can
Yeah.
actually be the hands and feet of God
Yeah.
to show them that He loves them in their crisis.
Absolutely. It's
And
such a simple thing. It's such a. I've always wondered, like, why haven't we thought about this before, long ago, and then I'm reminded, my favorite Bible verse is, perhaps you were born for such a time as this.
yeah,
And I realize and I remember that I was born at a time, and this mission was, given to us for a reason. And that's what we're called to do, is be His hands and feet. And it's been amazing. I mean, my life has purpose now. It really does. Before Let Them Live, I remember I would wake up with night terrors, just afraid of death, like deathly afraid of death. Like I would wake up sweating, just panting, just overwhelmed. And then when we started Let Them Live, I realized that it would be okay if I died, because I
He'd
would
be
leave
with you.
something behind, and I would have fulfilled what I was supposed to fulfill on this earth, and generations will exist long after I'm gone, and that's the type of legacy that we have to be leaving.
Isn't that amazing? And so I'm very curious also, because I'm guessing there was other fruit,
Yes.
right? That this mom is going, where do these people come from that would give me this money, right?
Yeah.
And so have you seen some people, grow in their faith as a
Yeah.
result of?
Absolutely. We've seen people grow in their faith. We've seen these moms take a complete 180. There's actually one mom that was staying at our house this weekend for our gala. Her name is Atoria, and she actually has a really special story. My husband and I, we actually counseled her directly. That's when we first started Let Them Live, and it was just the two of us. Now we have over 50 staff, so it's grown
Oh, really?
quite a bit.
How many years
Yes.
ago was that?
So the first mom we helped was December of 2018. So we officially became a nonprofit in 2019. So 4 or 5 years ago. So God has really blessed us here. And Atoria was a mom who, she had a 2-day abortion scheduled, living in her car, about 20 weeks pregnant, and just so depressed. She didn't want to live anymore. So she had this plan to have this abortion and then jump off a parking garage. And we got in touch with her. And after a lot of back and forth, she finally allowed us to try and talk to her and help her. And then she said, you know what, sorry guys, I'm just going to have this abortion. So Nathan and I got on the next flight out to California, and we were living in Indiana at the time. And we said, just give us a chance. And so when she saw us in person, she's like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm choosing life. And then a few months later, she invited us both to be in the delivery room with her when she gave birth. to Kiari, her son, and that was 3 years ago. So he was at the gala running around 3 years old, and I tell the story of Victoria because she was in the darkest place I think a human could
Oh
be.
yeah.
And now to see her, it's a complete 180. Her faith is so deep. She goes to church. She's in a healthy relationship. She's actually teaching her kids about her faith and about God and Jesus. Like, it's beautiful to see. And so not only did we save her and her baby, now she's got her faith that she's passing along. And we also have pro-choice donors, which that's like a curveball I always love to throw in there, because we're actually changing people's minds about abortion, and it's kind of passive. It's just an extra bonus that we didn't think would happen with Let Them Live, because helping women isn't just pro-life. It should be people helping people. And so lots of different fruits that have come from Let Them Live.
How spectacular! How amazing! And so when this phone call came that night, was that in Indiana?
We were in Michigan. We
No.
were just
Where in Michigan?
we were just north of Detroit. We were at my husband's family's house for like a Christmas party, but we're usually anywhere in the world. So
Wow, I lived in Michigan at a time
oh,
too.
you did.
So, wow. So Let Them Live, obviously
Yes.
now at this point in time, a national organization.
Yes.
We heard about California, Michigan, Indiana, and of course Florida, because that's where we
Yes.
are. How do people reach you, get you? What are their steps?
Yeah. So if there's a mom in a crisis pregnancy, we partner with pregnancy centers, sidewalk counselors. So a lot of pregnancy centers may not have the financial ability to cover the cost of the bills that a mom is struggling with. So we partner with them, and then we also have moms find us and donors through Instagram, social media. We have I think like over 200,000 followers just on all of our platforms. So we're growing super quickly.
Yes, you are. Let Them Live.
Let Them Live, and then letthemlive.org. And we run weekly campaigns for moms that are coming to us needing support. So there's always tons of ways to donate, volunteer, get involved. I mean, we're all called to do something to help these moms.
Emily, God bless you.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you.
You
You're
so
so
much.
wonderful. So great to have you on today.
Thank you so much.